I just wish I could rely on my memory.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first Sunday morning session for Season 2 of Portal, A Sense of Place, connecting community to place through the arts and creativity with Jacqui Dreessens and Wendy Grose. On behalf of the Surf Coast Arts and today's participants, I acknowledge the Wadawurrung and Eastern Maar people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of the lands of which we meet, live, create and celebrate. We pay respect to their ancestors who cared for the land, rivers and sea and all of its creatures, and to elders past, present and future. For those of you who aren't aware of Portal, the project is produced by the Surf Coast Shire in response to the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020. Through June, July and August, Portal was developed to keep us connected, creative and collaborating, offering an online space to capture the work of our region's local creatives and how they are adapting to change. Due to the success of the 3-month project, funding has been secured to continue Portal until the new year, which is fantastic. So this Portal Season 2 has been pretty much handed over to the community to add their voice to the Surf Coast Arts Trail website and social media. Today, I'm in conversation with local creative powerhouse, ethno-choreologist, I was not going to muck that up.
I love it.
And multidisciplinary artist Jacqui Dreessens, and Janjuk director, actor and soprano singer Wendy Grose, 2 very unique talents here in our region. They'll be talking about creating site-specific community theatre, music and dance, in particular in relation to the Torquay High Tide Festival, collaborations and individual independent work, and the importance of working with community for these sort of creative projects. We have a lot of visuals, and Wendy and Jacqui have a lot of stories. So we're going to do our absolute best to stick to the timeline and for me to corral these 2 lovely women from just sitting by fireside talking about the good times. So let me allow me to introduce you to our visitors today. So Wendy has been involved in community theatre since 1996 and has always been sent to perform elsewhere, but never local. She's an actor, director and singer, and her distinguished career includes performances in opera, theatre, musical theatre, recital, television and one-woman shows, both nationally and internationally. Wendy particularly enjoys surprising people with her diversity and humour, I can vouch for that, and creating inclusive theatre celebrating community. She's lived in Janjuk for 20 years. Jacqui is an ethno-choreologist and multidisciplinary artist. Her inspiration draws from nature and the environment, researching the ecology of place and embodied experience through an intersection of poetry, film, sound and movement. As a young person in Torquay, there wasn't any arts and it was very difficult to try and start anything. So she left at the age of 18. And when she returned in 2004, started noticing how the Surf Coast had changed and how there was a very vibrant arts community, and that was during the 90s, and that's been discussed a little bit in some of the other Portal sessions. Locally, she's involved, her own project is Wild Moves on the Surf Coast, which is community drumming and dance, involved in Bellbrae Heart Space, which is community music, arts and crafts, also Singing for Fun, which is community singing, originally supported by Surf Coast Arts Inc., Universal Grooves, We're Outrageous, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. Full Moon Drum and Dance at Cozy Corner from 2005 to 2015. And she's regularly involved in festivals and events, including the Paco Fest, Geelong After Dark, just to name a couple. There's many, 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 many. Now, I'm just going to, so say hello, girls, sorry.
Yeah, that's everyone. All right. Hello. Hopefully everyone put their clock forward.
Wow, I've just got to, oops.
You can go and sit on the couch. It's not your show.
just going to share the screen.
Oh.
Oh, here we go.
Ooh.
Gorgeous.
There we go. So I'm just going to give you a little intro about the High Tide Festival. That's mainly what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to give a montaged kind of overview, and then we'll go into some individual projects that both Jacqui and Wendy have worked on collaboratively or been driven by themselves. So the Torquay High Tide Festival ran from 1995 to 2014. It was a festival that was held in the streets, public spaces and indoor venues throughout Torquay. It was a time to celebrate the space before the summer visitor rush, enabling the focus to remain local. There were street parades, workshops, plays, recitals, informative walks, exhibitions, live music, market, puppets and costumes. The themes were set each year, so the committee set those and they were different and from year to year, and focused on the environmental, local history and culture. The aims of the festival were to celebrate the uniqueness of Torquay, local culture and cultural heritage of the area, embrace and celebrate community spirit, encourage community participation, showcase community services, groups and talents, celebrate the environment, and develop and encourage access to new skills. Over the years, it was funded by Festivals Australia, Regional Arts Victoria, Arts Vic, which is now Creative Victoria, and the Surf Coast Shire. The festival provided a launching pad. Just going to need a little drink. Excuse me. I'm going to tickle. The festival provided a launching pad, opportunities for collaborations and opportunities to take a risk, explore ideas, and to confront the sheer fear of performing by just participating. I spoke to Julie Dyer recently, who was the artistic director for most of the time of the Torquay High Tide Festival, and she wanted me to just acknowledge in the early days, much gratitude to Mark Trinham, Glenn Romanas, Veronica Phillips, Jan Preston and Barb Hollander, and I'm sure there's others, and I sincerely apologise for not including you. It's just such a huge body of work. So we'll just flick through just a couple of sort of general images. So this first slide is a collection of some of the logos that were created for those themes, and that they were then developed into T-shirts and into programs. And I think both Jacqui and Wendy are wearing T-shirts at the moment.
Yeah.
We are.
Two different ones.
We're like bananas.
Onions, actually. Peeling the layers off.
And then, of course, all of the programs from the first one we've got there is 2000. It started in 1995. And how that logo and concept gets carried through for all of the branding, from logos to T-shirts and posters and street signs, all that sort of thing. So what I'm going to do, because there's so much work, I've created sort of montages of a whole lot of events and photos. They're sort of random years, and if Jacqui and Wendy feel like there's anything in there that they recognise and want to talk about, please go ahead. Otherwise, we'll just flick through these and just give you an overall idea of just the scale of the amount of events and people involved over that almost 20-year period. So, of course, the markets. Yes, Wendy.
Yes. The markets were a fabulous lead up to the festival, and so we always knew the theme of the festival by mid-year. So then when the markets began back in September, we were able to hold workshops every time the market was on to build excitement about the upcoming festival, but also for people to create art in relation to the theme that was coming.
Then, of course, every good community festival must have community parades, and there's an incredible array here. This top one, I haven't got references to a lot of the artwork and a lot of the individuals because there was so much information. What I'm going to try and do is create a dedicated page on the Surf Coast Arts website so I can fill in some of those gaps and we can have a comprehensive record. So if you're watching and you recognise your work or something that you're involved in and realise that there's no names or anything associated with that, I do apologise and we'll fix that afterwards. So community parades, it's just a sample of the music and the costumes and the puppets that were created from this earliest photo in 2000. And then we've got Julie Dye, who's the artistic director, down in the right-hand corner there on her bike. Is that you on that bottom right corner, Wendy, on 2008? Are you on that?
Yeah, that looks like Wendy.
No, I'm not on there.
Oh, I thought that might have been you.
No, I'm probably just in the throng. Yeah. I think an important thing too of what made this particularly unique, this festival, as you say, it's a sense of place, and it was before the invasion of the holiday makers and everything over summer. It really was not aimed at tourists or anything. Of course they were welcome, but it was more aimed at the community, for the community, to celebrate what we have here all year round.
That's a great idea, just to have it in that period of the year, just because it gets so crazy down here. And there, just down the bottom in the middle there, we've got the Torquay Theatre troupe on the back of the truck. Were they doing a little bit of a performance?
They often did. They often had a show going as part of the festival, or else they would come in and do little mini plays. And sometimes when I did a recital, we'd then have a little 10-minute performance, a play as part of it too.
So of course, it predominantly an arts festival, but it was also a community festival. So you can see there that Men's Shed and the Belgrade Primary School are included in the parade, and that was important to try.
Life-saving clubs as well.
And of course, there was a ton of music, and we'll visit some of that a little bit later with Wendy and Jacqui. You can see Wendy pointing out something there.
The bass slappers, I remember them. They were great.
And of course, all those workshops were free. And, like the local fruiterer, he would always give us his truck, and Wild Moose would be drumming away on the truck all around the Esplanade, stopping at various places, getting off and dancing. I remember we went into Growlers and danced in there, and then got back up on the truck again.
And we had choirs going through Woolworths. There's Jacqui and Emmanuel down on the bottom right.
Wow.
This is Jacqui's son here. I also noticed going through all of the images that there were a lot of young artists, here in 2013, 2014. So I imagine that it was a really special opportunity for them to perform in front of a crowd.
That's right.
And a lot of them have gone on to perform, to become performers. Up the top there, you can see the young lad in the blue top holding music in the corner on the right at the top picture. And he's now doing a music degree at Melbourne University and plans to be a singer, and I got him involved when he was about 10, singing a big solo in the Scammell show.
That's pretty fabulous.
Wonderful. And it was a lot about empowerment as well. Everybody had the opportunity to be in the high tide. So, holding a puppet and dancing down the Esplanade is a big thing for some people who don't do that as their everyday life. So it's about feeling confident and I'm really expressing who I am and how I live in my community and how I share my expression and how it's of worth and value to the community. And that's what was great about High Tide as well. And I know for Wild Moves, for my group, some of them had never drummed and danced in their lives before, and they've actually gone on to create their own bands now and singing and creating their own artwork. So, High Tide was also a stepping stone for people to, launch off and
Yes.
have a go at
And even
trying
if
something at the arts.
didn't have to be professional.
No.
A lot of them have taken up the arts as part of the fabric of their life, and
That's
we
it.
still have contact with so many of the people
Yeah.
who were involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
The arts are, deeply meaningful to who they are and why they live here on the Surf Coast.
So here we've got a few slides for art. The bottom right-hand corner is Mark Trinham, and I'm not sure who the artist is behind him, doing some ice carving.
Yeah,
and of course, there's always a strong environmental theme going through most festivals. And you can see that in some of these images, great big maze there with community art placed onto the walls, which you can see down the bottom.
Yeah.
Lots of places were engaged, including Moby, and I saw some slides of some work in the bank. And there were also a couple of art trails as well. I don't know if you know much about this project, the storytelling flags and painted flags. Julie said that they were throughout Torquay.
That's right. Yeah.
And really intensive workshops with children and the elderly and other members of the community who were interested.
Aren't they gorgeous?
They are fantastic.
It's such a vibrant time of year, isn't it?
It is. And here in the middle top, we've got an art trail map from 2010, and then the seaweed art trail in 2011. A little bit of stencil art there.
Yeah.
And that 2012 is some children helping paint one of the, I think it's the Parks Victoria marquee.
Right, yes.
Beautiful light lanterns.
Oh, yes.
Created.
Lit the way down to the beach for the Scammell. Yeah.
You know who made those? Can you remember?
There was a team, but Glenda Shamali, I think, was
Glenda.
the primary artist.
And Claire
but I'm pretty
Gibbins.
sure, Claire was involved.
Kyla.
Lots of performance, and of course, after these sort of category slides, we'll talk a lot more about performance that Jacqui and Wendy have been involved with. So we'll just skim over these for the moment.
Gorgeous.
And puppets, one of my favourites, all-time favourites. Beautiful puppets made in workshops and by community.
Hearing, didn't he, in
He
the
did.
parades? Yes.
Suddenly
fully as yeah. As it should.
Yeah, fantastic. Look at that
fish.
There was circus involved.
Yes.
Circus 3230.
Yeah.
And circus is such an important part of festivals and community development because, it's great for confidence, for improving mental health and agility, and it's fun. So
And such great teamwork as well,
Yes.
Yeah. Lots of workshops as we were talking, and here's some behind the scenes of making some of those puppets. Down the bottom left, we've got the kids caravan that's been used at Cowrie Market for several years.
Yeah. And I used to often go into the primary schools in the few months leading up to the festival to run workshops and investigate topics and create performance. And
there were so many images with children being engaged in the classroom or out on site. Billy cards.
Oh, yeah.
There's some sensational creations there.
Yeah, I love that one.
I want Billy cards to come back, I think. Yes. Costumes, which looking again further into the conversation.
Yeah, that's Emily as the cat. She was the narrator for the Scammell story. She was wonderful, and we were having trouble recruiting volunteers. And we ended up having the entire family involved. Her mother was the lead role, and then her brother was reluctant, and he ended up being an integral part, being the fellow who rowed out to save the people from the Scammell.
I love a reluctant integral.
Oh, and then it was,
All right, I'm just going to go a little bit quicker through these.
Yep.
And of course the evenings.
Oh, beautiful, yeah.
Lots of fire.
Yeah.
Would that be right? Lots and lots of fire twirling and effects and fireworks to create that fantastic community spirit on the Friday and Saturday nights.
That was usually after the big Saturday performance.
Ah, was it?
Yeah, so, yeah.
All right. So, Jacqui.
Oh, yeah. Wow. The day of dreadlocks. My gosh.
Yeah, dreadlocks. Here's a couple of images from when you first became involved with the Torquay High Tide Festival.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, how did you initially become involved? And as I said earlier, you'd been away from Torquay. So what brought you back and found you in a place where you wanted to be so involved?
Yeah, well, I mean, I couldn't wait to get out of here when I was 18 because there's nothing really here to keep me here. I mean, there's surfing, of course, and then there's surfing and there's surfing. But I was involved in dance and the arts and music and, went off to Melbourne. I'd only been in Melbourne twice in my life, so it was a huge change. But I had heard of Mark Trinham at the Return of the Sacred Kingfisher Festival at Ceres Environmental Park in Melbourne, and he created the poster for us. And Mayor Ward told me, oh yeah, there's this great artist living in Torquay, and he's created this poster for us. And I thought, oh my goodness, there's something to do with the arts down in my stamping ground. And so, I mean, of course, I was coming back here over the years because family's still here. So I had seen the start of the High Tide Festival, and I was also opening up the course of community arts as part of Deakin University, where I was lecturing at Wombons as part of the teacher education. And I thought, oh, this could be a good way of getting art students involved with the community in the Surf Coast. And then I thought, okay, I reckon I really want to come back home and live down here again. So it was the arts that drew me back down here. And then, so sure enough, I started Wild Moves, drumming and dance. And then I just called up Julie Dyer, and she said, yeah, let's meet at Moby's and have a coffee and we'll talk and whatnot. And lo and behold, the next thing I know, I'm involved in High Tide, the friendly festival, and Wild Moves is on a truck drumming and dancing down the street. And since then, it's just been a consistent, beautiful role with the arts down here. And that's due to a lot to Julie and her vision and all the other artists who have wanted to collaborate and be involved, but also with people who have been involved with Wild Moves and community music and dance and wanting to try something about embodiment, about exploring something about who they are and where they live in this place. So yeah, you can see in that photo down the bottom right, oh goodness me, there's just some of these people, sadly have actually even passed on, but and these children have grown up, and it's just an ongoing thing. I mean, there's Fee Crawford. She first started in Wild Moves way back when, and now she's singing in her own band and whatnot. And yeah, it's just been on a roll since then, and with a different T-shirt every year.
Yeah.
But we started, with Wild Moves, going down the Esplanade, doing the street parades, and then eventually we were more involved with collaborating on stories, telling stories, etc.
Thank you so much, Jacqui. Wendy, some beautiful images here of you. How did you first become involved in Torquay High Tide Festival?
To be honest, I can't really remember clearly. I think I sort of morphed into it. I got to know Julie, and when I first moved down here, I'd go and obviously as part of the community and watch. But all my work was in Europe and far afield in Australia. But I was also involved in a lot of community projects for the Royal Children's Hospital and other community projects up in Melbourne and regional Victoria, and then I started getting involved in Surf Coast Arts, which led to me being on the committee for the high tide, not thinking I would do anything, but maybe I had some input, and then
And of course, you ended up writing and directing and singing quite a few of the performances. And speaking of performances, we're just going to go to the first one. Now these are in chronological order, just to try and keep some sort of semblance to what we're talking about. So in 2007 was the High Sea Opera. Wendy, I'm just wondering if you would like to talk to us about that.
Oh, it was wonderful. It was so much fun because that was actually completely written by the participants. And it's a method that I used to do when I was with the Royal Opera in London. I was their soprano for the education department and used to go through all of Britain creating performance with primary and high school age children on themes that they wanted to investigate. And I'd spoken about this method with Julie, and she said, "Oh, I think we could try that down here." And so we had all our little feelers and flyers and press going out to get people involved. And I suddenly had about 25 people or so who wanted to be in an opera on the beach, and we created this fantastical story, totally driven by the cast. And I've got the original storyboard here somewhere. Yeah, so it's quite funny, and we start creating things, but you can't really see it. But yeah.
No.
Oh no, here we are. This is what I created the first day we all met.
I'm just going to do a stop share so we can see it. There we go.
It was off a whiteboard, and that's showing the scenes. So I began with, where are we? What are we doing? And then all the people there at that meeting decided what would happen in the next scene, then the next scene, then the next scene. And then we got all our cast. And then that very day, I'd already run some theatre games and workshops and sussed them all out. I cast it. And then I said, all right, Jennifer, you're in scene 3, 5 and 7. You better write your lines. And so then they started writing it. We wrote the music, we wrote songs, and it was so much fun. And we had about 3 different generations involved in the show. And then, of course, we had local musicians helping with all the music. So it was so much fun. And the wonderful puppets, as you can see. Yeah. Pirate ship. And we had one young lad in that who was just I suppose these days you'd say hyper. He just could not sit still, and in the end I decided to use this energy, so I had him in every scene, because it was an underwater opera, as a snorkeler, watching everything, and he stole the show. And I ran into his mother recently, and she said, "It's all your fault. He's an actor."
Fantastic.
Could be blamed for that, I think. Here's a picture of Julie Dye, artistic director, with this would have been at the workshop when the pieces were being made. It's a little bit Marge Simpson, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we had enormous jellyfish and pirates and mermaids. Yeah,
that's right.
So then 2008, we've got Our Space, Our Place.
Oh, yes, that's this T-shirt that I've got on, which Vicky Davey designed.
Yes.
Which is very beautiful. There we are. We match.
And Vicky did, I don't know, about 6 months of Dancing with Wild Moves, and it was fantastic that she was able to join us. And then that inspiration rubbed up on her T-shirt. You can really see how there's beautiful movement in it. Yes, I love how the arts all affect each other.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about this project and what was the impetus behind it.
Our Space, Our Place, yeah.
We did the Friday night opening performance. That was the first time we performed down using the boardwalk and the beach, and and all of that.
And it was also about, you know, our concern for our place. And, you know, Torquay was really starting to expand, and there was a concern that a lot of what we loved about our place was going to disappear. And so we really wanted to explore, well, what do we actually love about the place where we live? And yeah, some really interesting stories came up as a result of that.
Yes.
That's the beautiful egret that's down there.
Yeah.
What's the next
Yeah.
slide?
And on the, can I just add that on the Saturday night we had a show called Our Magic Place, and that I created with local school children, and they all wrote about what they felt was magical about it. And then we had different people reading them, and music, and that was down on the beach.
What was one of the things they wrote about? What was magical?
Everyone has their magic place and a special quality that they like about it. Torquay has many special qualities: the beaches, the sunny days, the native animals and the parks. I like many things about Torquay. The people are very nice and everyone's always smiling. We're very lucky to live in such a wonderful town with a great community. The schools give great education and we're close to the beach. Very nice town. I'm glad to be part of it.
I've been paid by
A young
council.
girl called Julia, who's probably a fully grown adult now.
So fantastic.
Yeah.
It's well-being. We've got some beautiful
well-being. Yeah.
Oh.
and we've got another slide after this, Jacqui.
Well, I mean, I loved Swellbeing. This was my first collaboration with Wendy. Yeah. And my inspiration also was the egret that lives on the Spring Creek, and it's still there to this very day, you know. So a lot of our movements, the dancers' movements in the water, were all about how birds walk in this water and fish and, you know, live on the creek. And it was just really beautiful to dance in the water and being focused on the actual bird and its movements and the connection to place through the actual Spring Creek water itself, because we all know that sometimes that water's there and sometimes it's not. So on this occasion, we were really able to work with the beautiful Spring Creek or the river mouth. Look at that.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
So what's in these images? Why it looks like that it's some sort of maybe ritual or
it's all performance ritual. Actually, I remember the design in the water down there when that went down the creek. Apparently it got caught on the bridge and things like that, and it was a symbol of you know, man-made structures and how they can really stop things, stopping the flow going. So it was this piece was really performance ritual.
And we moved all the way out to the rock pools and everything and danced.
Yeah.
We ended up waltzing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were also, you can see ocean views behind there, and a lot of people were telling stories of what they used to do in Spring Creek and up on that hill when there were no houses, and the stories that were coming out there, and they were all interwoven with the movements as well.
And you're moving through a singers are making a sound tunnel.
That's right.
There where you're coming through.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know the area and might be tuning in, this is Torquay Surf Beach. So that's the surf club up there on the hill.
Yeah, we're at the
in that first slide is Ocean Views, which was the development, and Spring Creek comes out, and the mouth of it comes out just to the sort of left there.
Yeah.
You couldn't ask for a better theatre.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was just such a joy to perform there and go, we're in the best theatre in the world.
Yeah. And what's lovely too is the positioning of the audience. Like we never told the audience where to stand. So they're making choices on what they want to see and from what perspective, and they could move as they wanted to. So, you know, for performers, community performers, they understand they're being viewed from the back, the side, front, and that their whole being is engaged in this performance ritual. And the audience is part of the performance ritual. So everyone is experiencing this at once. So even though, you know, it's all been planned and directed and the space has all been mapped out, but there's a certain amount of improvisation that's involved as well. And that makes it even more special because it heightens everybody's awareness a little bit more. And there's a real feeling of pulling together and connection. So I loved this performance from that perspective because the audience was involved.
Yes, yeah.
And look at that skyscape. I mean, goodness me, you know, lovely. And
thank you, Jacqui. So here's another project of yours, a 2010, Circles on Waves.
Yeah, this was another beautiful one that I loved.
They're all beautiful, let's face it.
Circles on Waves came from the inspiration of the full moon. So I ran the full moon drum and dance for about 10 years, every full moon down at Cozy Corner. And we would come and sing and dance and drum and do performance ritual based on the moon making circles on the actual waves. So at Cozy Corner, we all know when the full moon comes up, it has this rippling effect. So this piece or this work really developed over a number of years. And so on this particular year, we were able to, well, you can see the drum circles on top of everyone's heads. They were recycled talking drums that had broken, and instead of throwing them away, we created that into a full moon. And then we wove anything that we found on the beach started to be woven into the headdress. And we actually, you know, also showed that at We're Outrageous, so that by the time we got to the High Tide Festival, we had evolved, this work had evolved. And so, everyone's making their own costume and headdress. Demir put the beautiful soundscape to it as well. And some of us, other wild movers who are drumming, we're creating the soundscape from up on top of the hill at Cozy Corner. And the dancers make their way down onto the beach. So it really is an honouring to our coastline and to the full moon, that lots of people, you know, walk under the full moon every month, and just honouring that sacred connection and time and place when the full moon is so vibrant on the land there. And you can see Michelle Buggy in that beautiful photo. Where she, you know, she's really capturing the shimmering light of the full moon and the light energy that it entices in you. You know, her beautiful foot just arching out. She's so light in the way that she's, you know, it's almost fairy-like, but very elemental. Yeah, and you can see also in the other photo, you can see some students from Deakin University as well as Surf Coast locals. So it was really great for them to research into community arts.
You mentioned earlier about We're Outrageous. Do you want to just talk briefly about what that is and the importance that it played in the lead up to the festivals?
Yeah, well, like I said, We're Outrageous was in what, June or something like that?
It was usually sort of August, July, August.
Okay, yeah. So we would start to develop the idea of what we'd like to explore for High Tide, but through We're Outrageous first. And, you know, that's where the all the artists involved would have to wear something that is something that they've created, and, you know, it's a work of art, and they actually have to model it. And so what we created were these moon circles that were coming from drums and recycled materials. So we would model that idea in We're Outrageous, and by the time we got to High Tide, it developed into a full work. And then we actually did an aspect of it at the Paco Fest and down, you know, Packington Street. So it went over a course of about 10 months. But We're Outrageous was great for lots of visual artists and jewelers and you know, people that wanted to show their wearable art.
Mm,
Mm.
thank you. So 2012, Moonahs Sentinels of the Surf. That should be Surf Coast. My apologies.
Yeah. Well, this inspiration again came from the full moon, but also from the Moonah tree. So these beautiful Moonah trees are like sentinels at Cozy Corner, and so many people come to sit under the Moonah trees. And so these Moonah trees hold so many stories about who we are living on the coast here and all the tourists that visit there every year. And you know, as you can see, they grow backwards. They're extraordinary trees. And so, you know, we had Wild Moves kids classes then as well, and like they're all grown up now. But we wanted to explore, you know, this tree as Moonah, as a sentinel of the surf coast, but also we wanted to put that into a work of art where we were the protectors of the Moonah tree. So it's very elemental. You know, we had our hair up in the branches. It was a lovely community project with the schools as well, where children would write down what they would wish for the community and put that on a tree. Kelly Wiskin made that beautiful tree, carved it all out, and all the students put their wishes on that tree. And gorgeous Jacqui Fennick and Michelle Buggy, they were pregnant, so they were very much a part of the performance. This was very much mothers and children performing and showing how through the generations how important it is to not just pass on our legacy and what's meaningful to us, but the stories and how important it is to pass that on. Just like the Moonah tree does, how it contains it in that space there. And we were just so lucky to have the tide out at that time, and the Wild Moves drummers could also be a part of that. And the dancers actually started up in the Moonah trees above the audience, and the audience is sitting on the hill at Cozy Corner. So the dancers came out of the trees and through the audience and then down that bluestone wall and then into the performance space. And you know, it's lovely too because you can see other people at the shoreline and seagulls. You know, all of that is included in the performance ritual. And we had the fantastic Moonah band performing live. So they were performing live, Wild Moves was performing live, and it was like the movement and the music was happening in the liminal space because they couldn't really watch us, they're busy playing, and we couldn't see them, but we could hear them. So we're actually feeding off each other, that beautiful liminal space where artists work, where you trust that something magical is going to happen because you know, we know our movement, they know their music, and then we're meeting each other in that liminal space. And the audience is in the middle of it.
Because
So
it's almost like a natural amphitheatre.
Yeah.
Cozy
Well, it is. I was going to say, what an amazing amphitheatre.
so
That,
magical.
you know, incline in on the foreshore there.
Yeah, and I remember Wendy collected all those things on our fingertips from
Oh
that
yes,
tree
yes,
in your
there's
house.
a tree near my house. I said, "Oh, this is." That was at the We're Outrageous because I was
Yeah.
actually away on tour during this one, so I'm really excited to see the pictures. So I was
Oh,
doing pause the musical while you were doing
Oh,
this.
yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
all right. I'm just going to move on to On the Street Where You Live. Wendy.
Yes, yes. Well, we actually created that show for the 2011 festival. And it had about 8 different characters in the show, spanning over 200 years through the history
Oh, okay.
of Torquay, and people came on a walking tour. And then that's on the left there is me as Mavis, and it's wartime and I'm heading out to get my rations, and I happen to these people come across me, and I'm telling them about my husband being down at the Point Danger with the Light Horse Brigade, and that we haven't seen him for a while, even though he's so close. And yeah, so people are getting us, and then they'll walk around the corner and meet there's a fairy there who talked about things to do with Temperance Hall, and we had a modern day footballer and all these different characters.
Such a lovely idea.
Yeah, and
Experienced that idea somewhere else? Like, what was the inspiration behind that?
in the centre of the there near the ferry at the bottom right, you can see a fellow with a cap on, and he's a colleague of mine who I've worked with for 30 years, Peter Stevenson Jones, and he and I had done these projects in other towns in Australia.
Oh, okay.
And I suggested at one of the meetings that maybe it might be nice to do one about Torquay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, oh golly, the things I discovered, it was
I
amazing.
bet.
Of course, we've got a wonderful historical society, so that was a great help for a starting point. But we discovered all these amazing stories. That was in 2011, which led to the Scammell story, What a Wreck, in 2013, and to Hoofprints in the Sand, which was 2014. So these shows came out of that research, and people were so excited to learn these stories about our community. You have no idea till you start researching. Yeah.
I love it. You're layered upon layered upon layered, Wendy. So that's a great segue into the Wreck of the Scammell, which was written and directed by you, Wendy.
Yes, it was. That was a very exciting show to put together.
Sure was.
Yeah,
Beautiful images by Rebecca.
Choreographing it for us, and yeah, we had wonderful people involved, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
It's funny to look at those little girls and think of them as grown up.
They're grown ups now. Yeah.
There's Julie's son, Andrew, and Carlene Georgiadis played the.
As you can see, Rebecca Hosking Photography has been branded on this image, and we'll see a few more of her beautiful images of the festival. And when I was looking through all of the files and images, you know, you can see that that improvement of documentation and storytelling as time goes on. And Rebecca has crafted a very successful career for herself. The experience that she had at High Tide, I believe.
Yeah. Well, she did all the photos of Prints in the Sand.
Yeah. Is that you, Wendy?
That's me. Yeah, checking that all the props are in the right place. I'm doing a.
Yes. Yeah, I love that photo that she took in front of the Scammell. Yeah. That's right in the middle of Michelle Buggy and I of being an extension of the ocean and singing at the same time with the choir that was singing as well. Yeah, it was great to have Rebecca photographing everything because it's so important for documenting, you know, it's, you know, to have that really clear story in pictures and having it documented because these, you know, community arts, it just happens and then it's gone and everything is so transient. But to have a photographer that can snap an image and it's saying so much in one moment. I think that's been great that we've photographers on board.
Tell me a little bit about, just briefly, the story behind this performance.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. There you go. I was just looking at the program, and it says here for What a Wreck, come and be part of the performance. By the way, there was a warm-up for the performance with Ukes de Jour, the local ukulele group, doing sea chanties to get everyone in the mood. And it says, discover a performance reenacting the story of the Joseph Scammell, which founded on the rocks of Point Danger in 1891. So we were performing literally 150 metres away from where the wreck happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. See the boat founder and the rescue. Watch our forebears loot and plunder and lead the police a merry dance. Next to Wild Moves, Ukes de Jour, because of course they came down, that's them performing up the top
Yeah.
there, doing the music, and we had songs and everything. Singing for fun, our devisers, makers, performers, moi, Emily, Georgiadis, William Evans, Papinski, Kyla, Claire, Akasha, Katya, Noah. It goes on and on, all the people
Oh, yeah.
involved. It's just amazing.
Like a horse race.
Yeah.
Beautiful images and what looks like a really, consolidated performance for this particular local story.
Oh, there's Nathan in the boat.
Yes, yes.
Coming in. He played the part of the local fisherman who went out to save
That's
some
right,
people
yeah.
from the.
And who's Nathan?
He's the son of Emily, Carlene Georgiadis, yeah. And up the top left, you can see Carlene there playing the wife of the captain. And next to her, because they did actually have a cat on the boat called Hattie. And that's her daughter playing the cat. And I narrated and Emily acted the part of the cat, narrating the story. So
So the cat survived the
the
shipwreck.
cat was saved from the ship as well.
The first cat in Torquay.
Hattie, yeah. Yeah.
And then 2014 was, of course, the final Torquay High Tide Festival, which must have been a very sad affair.
Yes. Beautiful. It's a great design, isn't it?
I didn't say anything initially. I thought, oh, she's put on a bit of weight.
We couldn't actually, I remember, because we used to have a competition for the design for the festival, for the programs and posters every year. And that year we couldn't decide between this beautiful one done by a local child
Really good.
and the horse.
Yeah, okay.
And so we actually decided to use both. Yeah. So yeah.
Very, very good decision.
So much rehearsal went into this. Oh my goodness.
This
So
work looks monumental.
It was. It was. And then on the night, the weather just decided.
Massive storm. I was devastated.
I know.
I was so. We had the most brilliant rehearsal on the Friday night, and we had it set up with tents, as you can see in that picture. But ours were obviously different. They were on the sand, but we had actual whaler horses come down from Ballarat.
Real horses
with the people dressed up in light horse brigade outfits, and they couldn't be in the show on the Saturday because of the storm. It was there's one.
I mean, this is real history of Torquay.
I still want to do that show properly.
You know what?
Tell me a little bit about this image, which was the foundation for the storytelling.
Well, this is here. This is in Torquay, and the Light Horse Brigade was based down here. Yeah, amazing. And there's all their camp and
I'm just looking at the time, and we're nearly at midday. So
I was going to say too about hoof prints in the sand. Extraordinary amount of rehearsal, but I was very impressed with the audience, because the audience was initially on the sand, and then when the wind and storm blew up, the audience didn't actually go home. We thought they would go home, but they all came up on top.
Yeah, there we are. They moved up in amongst the Moonahs, so we had some protection.
That inspired us to keep going. So Wendy and I completely, I know for myself as choreographer, I had to completely change the whole choreography in the space, because we were actually on the sand, and now we're up on the hill facing a different direction.
Okay.
And what's difficult for performers who, are community performers, to change their spatial perception is a big, challenge. And so they just had to trust that, okay, we're just going to do it. and just ride with it. Ride being the operative word.
I just remember sprinting for 2 hours from there to there to there to there to check that person had that, this person had that, fix that mic, go over there, do that.
Yeah.
Oh, are you ready for your song? Are you? Yeah. That's all.
Yeah, wow.
I love these shots.
Oh, look at
Yeah.
remember the horse dancing here, and then you had to do it up on the hill, but
And
you
then we
did
had,
it.
we did it up on the hill, and it, it's so hard to dance in sand, of course, but it was great. Yeah, some nice images there.
Yeah, and look at the beautiful horse puppet.
Isn't it stunning?
Yeah.
And with the projections, they were Rebecca Hoskins' historical work.
All these wonderful old photos, all from Torquay. They're all the local, their historical society was a wonderful source. Yeah, I found my file on this show at home, and it's 8 inches thick paper.
Not surprised.
With all the
so many moving parts and components.
And photos and everything. Yeah.
And of course, workshops for the kids, and there were quite a few
kids making their horses
so
at the festival.
I did particularly like these.
Yes. Who came up with that template for the horse? Can't remember. Oh, there we are. There's Jim again. He had another big solo. Fifth the Thuthi throwing thirds for soldiers. Yeah.
And our faithful Moonah trees there.
Yeah. Oh yes. And I did it.
How just very briefly again, how did that finish up? Did you know at that time that it would be the last festival, or were you hoping that it would continue into the following year?
Oh yeah. No, we were hoping, but then unfortunately we didn't have the seed funding which could keep it alive enough that we could at least do a bare bones festival, and all of us are volunteers, and of course had our own full-time careers, so we just couldn't invest all that time and effort into something which may not come at all into fruition.
And it's festivals are tricky to keep going, to be sustainable, because some funding bodies might give a 3-year grant. Others might only, like local government, might only support if there's a brand new theme and brand new concept. So to keep it going for that long, absolute kudos to all of it.
And also, to keep it going means going throughout the whole year. And see, that's why Wild Moose we could, sustain our practice, was because we'd rehearse every week. We'd be learning drumming and dance skills, and so that would develop over the years, so that we had a body of people that were ready to actually perform, and then they could also help to carry other members of the community or put the voice out into the community. Come and be part of this. It's so much fun. And that creates a lot of energy, and that has to be sustained from year to year to year. That's why We're Outrageous is so important. Campo Fest is so important, because it brings people into the actual arts itself, and then you can see how it evolves.
And the art van at Cowrie Market.
Cowrie Market.
All those things about, art should be part of your life, not just an enhancement.
That's right.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for all of those insights and memories and laughs. Once again, this is just such the tip of the iceberg.
And can I say thank you to the High Tide Festival for getting me with this wonderful woman. And we've gone on to creating other things together, and
we'll
done
talk about
lots of projects. So
just before we do that, I just included this poster of Wish Me Luck.
Yes, I often did a recital with my wonderful accompanist Len Borster, one of the leading pianists in Australia, and we would do a fine art classical music concert. This year though was of course all wartime songs, but
And as you said, you've gone on to continue collaborating together and creating performance. These are beautiful images taken by Robert, your husband, Wendy, I
Yes,
believe.
yes, he's quite
Um,
gifted.
and this was one of the first times that I saw you both perform. Was it 2020 or 2019? I couldn't quite remember.
2019 we did at
Yes.
the
Oh,
end. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
but we had one
yeah.
performance at the beginning of this year in Anglesey.
Yeah,
yeah, that's
we
what
did
it was.
do. We started last
Yeah,
year, and we'd
yeah,
done a bit in Geelong after
yeah,
dark
that's right.
and things.
Yeah.
We're running out of time a little bit, but just what miraculous? What does that mean, and what was involved in this beautiful performance across a number of small community churches?
Mm. Well, mirabilis means actually like the wonder of the world, and we are celebrating the music and history of the wonderful woman Hildegard von Bingen
Mm,
through this music, and but making it our own.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
The thing is that with this history of working together,
mm,
it's just so easy because there's no ego involved. We just sort of, I'll just go, oh, that doesn't work. And Jack will go, all right, let's try something else. And then Vicky versa,
yeah.
so it's just wonderful.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
great. And Hildegard von Bingen, she just loved creation. And this is where it's beautiful to, perform and do photos down in our
Yep.
beautiful sacred space, and it's all about creation. But we also wanted to, look at spaces that
Mm.
aren't being used as much anymore in the way of performance. And
Those little community churches are just
yeah,
beautiful. Architecturally, they're just simple and gorgeous,
yeah,
and I was
yeah,
really surprised how much I enjoyed it.
Oh, thank
yeah.
Not,
you.
not the performance, but I enjoyed the performance. really, really enjoyed being in those really small churches, which, personally I'd never been in before.
Yeah,
Mm.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Ah, sadly, Wendy.
Yes, yes, I was supposed to be. This is a one-woman show I've been performing for a long time now, probably since 2000, on and off. We've toured it through America and all around Australia. And then we put it on ice for about 12 years. And then suddenly, about 18 months ago, I started getting people asking for it again. And I was supposed to be performing it that week on the 17th of March at Colac Otways Performing
Mm,
Arts Centre, but the day before it got pulled because of the limit on numbers, and of course I lost my work the entire year. I was supposed to then go to London to do a show, but there we go. But they have rescheduled it, Copac, for March next year to tick off the
good.
season, so fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And of course Marjorie she was born in Deans Marsh, so she was going off there to share her character and stories, but maybe next
Mm.
year.
Mm.
Maybe next year. Very, very sad that had to close. And as you said, very, very last minute, which would have been just a bit
I
heartbreaking.
even had all the props and set in the
Oh,
car.
yeah. Mm.
Like, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, we're very lucky, that we've got Wendy who has done the research into the history of Torquay and
Mm.
into new life. I think it's important that we look at those stories. Mm.
So as we come towards the end, just a slide for you, Jacqui. I know you do so many different things and involved in so many different groups, but I just thought I was just having a look through your Facebook page and just thought, well, the key things that keep jumping out to me at the moment is the continuation of Wild Moves and how long that's been going for, and your wonderful project Dancing with Parkinson's. And of course, we've got this gorgeous image of you. Was that part of a special shoot or?
Nellen took that in Janjuk Creek, and
Gorgeous.
we were sort of playing with a few ideas about plastic, and but yeah, I mean, Wild Moves is still going on. We're in the middle of doing the Hoodie Boogie, so I'm sure you'll see us over summer performing that somewhere or giving workshops somewhere. And
Mhm.
it's all about putting your dog on a lead because the hooded plovers are now nesting. And of course, when they're nesting and the little baby chicks before they reach 35 days old, they are not flying yet, so they can't fly away from danger. And so, yeah, I created this for the BirdLife Australia. And Wild Moves has been drumming and dancing this all year. I've actually got the song in the Surf Coast Song Contest as well. It's just another way of using the arts to promote environmental awareness.
Mm.
Yeah, and another project I'm working on is mangroves from the water, and we're going to be performing that exhibition at Deakin Uni in July this or next year now, and that's all about Lake Connewarre. So yeah, keep going on with the music and the dance, and it'll just keep on evolving its own life.
So, of course, in this age of COVID, both of you have been affected by not being able to do what you would normally do. And I've noticed your move to doing some online dance sessions, Jacqui.
Yeah.
How's that been working for you, especially with the dancing with Parkinson's? Have they found that difficult?
Yeah. No, well, we got on to Dancing with Parkinson's online straight away.
Yeah, good.
It was a matter of keeping the momentum going, not having a break. Otherwise, I knew I would have lost them. So, yeah, the dancers with Parkinson's, but also anybody can do these classes. So, what's been working really well is the social dance. So, doing cumbia dance, Latin American, salsa, rumba. And what I'm loving is that we do a show and tell. So someone brings in an object and they tell a story about how much they love whatever this is and how meaningful it is to them. And then I find ways of incorporating those gestures into the dance that I'm teaching them. And it's really great because they create the gestures, but I'm teaching them the social dance. And so somehow they're remembering the movements and putting in their own gestures because they've created it. So that's been really successful, and I've been very lucky. I got a grant from Sports Australia,
Oh,
so
good.
I was able to keep that momentum going. And so now we have that going on, but I've also got Wild Moves online on Monday nights at 5:30 because a lot of the dancers wanted to just continue
Yeah.
their fitness and feeling confident in their bodies. So that's been successful. But at the same time, a lot of wild movers, they're also on Zoom with work. So that's been an issue because they don't want to associate dance
Yeah.
and drumming with work and Zoom. So
Yes.
yeah, that's been it's
I really understand that. It's fantastic how we've all adapted and pivoted
yes,
to Zoom. But I don't. I'm not involved in a lot of Zoom chats and collectives, but it's too much for me as
oh,
as, as a fellow artist. I'm finding so much is on the computer at the moment,
yeah, absolutely.
but the fact that we've all been able to adapt, and especially for this program portal, and collect this information and show how we are adapting has been so invaluable.
Yeah,
Um, it's been very clear that the importance of community art, especially through performance, is very dear to your hearts. That community development, engagement, um, to building courage, to making people vulnerable, upskilling, how things hold a space. Um, it's, you're both so, and especially Jacqui, so firmly embedded into the Surf Coast arts culture that, yes, it's quite amazing, really. Overview.
just sort of evolves, doesn't it?
Now, I'm just
I
looking at the
think too,
messages.
Helen, that it's just wonderful to be able to make people aware of possibilities
Absolutely.
within their
Opportunities.
environment and with other people. But
Mm.
also the best thing is when you see someone surprise themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
And I almost feel like I want to leave it there, but because it's just such a good comment. But I'm just going to read through some of the comments. Most of them are just supportive, but because I was sharing the screen, I couldn't see the comments coming in, so I do apologise for that. It's just a few comments from Julie, who was just adding just a few reference points.
Yeah, of course.
Not too many though. I was expecting more, Julie, if you're out there.
The reliable memory.
With regards to when we talked right back with regards to the parades and the Torquay Theatre Troupe on the truck, she was just saying that that included John Madden, Jan Preston, and Veronica Phillips, who are community artists. That beautiful jellyfish image that we saw are from two different events. So the image of the multiple jellyfish in the cypress trees is at Cozy Corner, and we're part of a sculptural installation. So that was part of the Seaweed Arts Trail.
Oh,
yeah.
And calling attention to marine debris and the impacts of plastic on ocean life. Plastic bags look like jellyfish underwater and are eaten by turtles and other marine animals.
yeah.
And the artist was Rachel Burke.
Okay.
That wonderful octopus head that Julie was showing us was made from a bike helmet, just in case you wondered what the structure to Marge Simpson's Tower of Blue was. Minerva White in Anglesey, amazing concept dancing with the water and join the beach as an amphitheatre. Wow, gorgeous photos by Rebecca.
Yes.
Is anyone recorded the shows with videos? Probably.
I'd love to know who
I
recorded
don't know.
it. I know that a lot of the audience members would have recorded it, but how do you get in contact with them, you know?
We're just in the moment doing it.
Technology has changed so much. Looking through those images, the earlier ones, the resolution is shocking.
Oh, yeah.
They're small, they're not a high quality. So when you're dealing with archiving and bringing in that history through imagery, it's it's such a shame that there isn't that higher quality to just
Oh, well.
It'd be good to have some sort of repository, where you'd be able to invite the community. Hey, we're documenting the last 25 years or whatever of high tide. If you've got any video footage, put it up here on this Facebook page or something.
Because at that time, some people would have been videoing on their phones, but probably not that many. I wouldn't have.
Most of them on video camera, and a lot of parents filmed children.
Oh yes,
yeah.
yes. When their children were in the show.
All right, couple of other things. Brilliant. Loved hearing your story. Thank you for creating and sharing the arts. Fantastic images of you both, of course. Very inspiring from Jacqui Bailey.
Oh.
And Julie, you did very well.
Oh, you did very well, Helen, corralling us in.
Thanks, Julie, for wading through all your stuff.
Yes.
Minerva, I think it would be great for the future to record and create good quality video. Well, yes.
Yeah.
To build a background history and memories of the community. And I think it's, it'd be a nice project to include on the Surf Coast Arts website, even though Surf Coast Arts wasn't involved, although people who were on the committee were involved.
Surf Coast Arts usually sponsored and were involved, yeah.
So yes, give me till Christmas, maybe February. See how we go. Thank you so very much. I just want to say to anyone who's watching this and who'll come back and watch it, the dog's been unsettled. If you have an idea or interested in interviewing or hosting a panel session like this, do get in touch with the Surf Coast Shires Art Development Officer, Harriet Gaffney, or Stacey. And of course, you're welcome to contact me through Surf Coast Arts. That funding for Portal that's been keeping us going till Christmas or the New Year, not exactly sure, is your opportunity to step up and use this venue of the Portal venue or template to record that history and to help develop new stories within the region.
I might say something about that really quickly, and that is really seizing those opportunities through Portal, through Surf Coast Arts. And, you know, as an artist, you might think, oh, look, I don't quite know or whatever, but it's the actual idea that you have in your proposal. And then, you know, Surf Coast Arts can guide. And see, that's what I really appreciated about Julie and Wendy too. You know, like I have lots of ideas, boom, 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 boom. But then Julie focuses it
Channels.
and says, right, this is the thing, da, 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 and this is your section, and da, 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 da. And that's what Wendy's great at doing too, you know, so that everybody knows what piece of the puzzle they're involved in. So, yeah, any artists out there, if you have ideas, you know, don't hold back. It's the worst thing that you could do is just hold yourself back from the idea. We must share. We must share and express our ideas with each other and with the community, because it's who we are.
Yeah.
It's documenting who we are.
And also I found through my many conversations since moving down here that, you know, there's a cohort of people who started producing artwork and performance and events in the 90s, and everyone's middle-aged now. So we need to find ways through mentoring or leadership programs, and I want to have a bit of a chat to Surf Coast Shire about if they're having a thing in mind, or is there something we can bring together to try and build those really important skills and enthusiasm to get involved. And it's about volunteerism. Unfortunately, if you think you're going to get into the arts and make a lot of money, you may in some areas, but it's about volunteering and building capacity. On that note, thank you once again.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you to Portal for providing this, and for those of you who joined us today or who will who'll be able to see it through Facebook Live over the coming weeks. I think I need to do something with my COVID hair. and this humidity.
Longer.
I said, I'm not putting mascara on. I haven't for,
Yeah. Well, it's just me too.
All right. Thanks, Helen. Wonderful. And Stacey behind the scenes, and Harry.
Julie,
yeah.
Many.
All boys. Thank you, linesman. Thank you.